Welcome to Wildspire. You get to be a fly on the wall for my intimate conversations with entrepreneurs who are changing the world. I'm your host, Stephanie Benedetto, coach, storyteller, and unmarketer at The Awakened Business, helping coaches and change-making entrepreneurs unleash their inspired message and share it with playful unmarketing. I'll ask curious questions and explore uncharted waters with my guest today. Anything can happen when we step into the unknown of infinite creativity, and that's where we're going to play. What can I tell you about today's guest, Rob Cook? He is an amazing storyteller who has so much heart that you can feel it across the world. You might think now that I am exaggerating about that, but you're about to see what I mean. Rob shows up and laughs with people, and their lives change because he sees who they really are beyond the labels. Rob Cook is a mindset coach and the creator of the unFIT brand. He works with clients to help them to never compromise themselves and explore their total health. He firmly believes his understanding of the human experience creates a natural connection for inspiring clients to convert potential into something tangible. Rob was born and raised in the inner city of Birmingham, Alabama. In 1996, he joined the United States Air Force, where he became a highly decorated combat veteran who traveled the world extensively and held several high-profile positions, including assignments to the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and the U.S. Special Operations Command, where he was an integral part of the elite security protection detail for our highest-ranking Department of Defense officers and officials. After retiring from the military, Rob moved to the Los Angeles area and transitioned into civilian life. Through his mentor and close friend, he was introduced to the Three Principles global community. He went on to become a 3P certified transformative coach through Supercoach Academy, discovering an ideal balance between the form and formless realms in his work as a mindset coach. As the founder of unFIT, he offers a fresh approach on how to unlock your health from the inside out through coaching and speaking for startups, nonprofit organizations, Fortune 500 companies, and everything in between. I'm also excited to be bringing you more of Rob very soon in the Awakened Business community through a free event called Impromptu, a group adventure of creativity and imagination, in which you'll get to play with Rob and me to create an improvised group performance on the spot. So keep your eyes posted and make sure that you're on my Wildspire email list at theawakenedbusiness.com/Wildspire to get more details. And now, without further ado, meet Rob. Hey, Rob.
Hey.
I am so excited to have you here with me today. And as I was contemplating what this conversation might be like, of course, I was making up all kinds of stories about it. They were good stories, by the way. They were the fun kind of stories. Right. And now I'm about to drop them all. Just watch me. You see me drop it? I dropped it.
Okay.
So I would like to tell the story of how I met you. I don't think I shared this with you, Rob, what I remember about meeting you. Is it okay if I do that?
Absolutely. It's your show. Let's go with it.
So we... And
this audio and visual, right? So I got to contain my facial expressions and tears and all that.
That means you have to contain them? Like, what? Who made up that rule?
I don't want to be looking all ugly on the show with my lip. And, I just want to make sure, I got to get myself ready.
If it comes to that, you can just temporarily hide your face. I'll block it out for your own privacy, modesty's sake.
There it is. Yes, got it. Like they do the little blur.
Yes.
Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you totally interrupted me, Rob. So, how dare you? So we met in Santa Monica at the Genius Catalyst event. And this is where I first remember seeing you, like really noticing you, Rob Cook, the man, the myth, the legend. So we had been given this task to go out and make some money. And I think we had 2.5 hours to do it, like over a lunch break, right?
Yes.
And
I remember that.
Yes. So everybody had to go out, and we had really no restrictions on how we could do it. And I was really excited because I love the game of making money. And I was like, I'm going to find my friends. And anyway, this story is not about me. It's about you. And so You came back from that experience and got up and told a story about a homeless man. You remember this, right? Because
Oh yeah,
it affected
Christian.
me.
Christian, yeah.
Kristen,
Oh,
you
I remember the story very well.
okay,
Yeah.
so would you tell me that then? Because the thing that you saw touched me, and I have since shared the story with other people. But essentially, the way I like to frame it is you taking money from a homeless man. And yeah, tell me that story, Rob, if you would. Bring me back to that moment because it was so good.
Yeah, okay. Please, please listen all the way to the end of the story because the way she set it up that I took money from a homeless guy just really, really sounds like I'm a bad guy.
Well, that's the point. Okay, you know me well enough as you're listening that I would never do that to someone unless it made him look good. So he looked
Oh
good,
yeah,
right?
that is so funny. So what I remember, what it was Michael had, it was an exercise in genius catalyst around the conversation we have about money. And what I felt he was pointing to is just showing how money was just as subjective as many other things that we have in our life. And what could be a lot of money to some is not a lot to others and this and that. And so when he gave the exercise of go out and make money, at first I kind of freaked because I could hear the whispers of, oh, I'm just going to reach out to my clients. So, oh, I'm just going to sell this. And I remember, God, I can't remember her name right now, but she opened up her Mary Kay line. And there were a bunch of different people who already knew what they was going to do. And I had no idea. So I kind of freaked a little. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go ask people for money then. Like that's the first thing that came to my mind. So I went down to the pier and I was like, all right, grab a sign and it wrote, can I have $1? One, because I asked. Two, because I made you laugh by asking. Or three, because I'll give you a hug or something like that. It was like one. So I made a couple dollars that way. And a homeless guy passed me with a wagon of Gatorades. And he laughed. And he said, I ran that hustle last year. And I was like, hustle? What do you mean hustle? He was like, where you tell the truth and watch people just give you more money. And I go, what? He was like, yeah. I used to say, I just want meth or a hooker. And one guy gave me $50 just to get out his face. That's the most, he had ever received. And so I bust out laughing. I thought it was just, funny. So I said, well, how you know I'm not homeless? How you know I don't need this? And he said, your shoes. So anybody who knows me know I was a huge shoe fanatic, like custom shoe, all of that. So he knew by the shoes that I was homeless. Well, that prompted a conversation where he was basically saying that it was harder for him to make money than me by doing that particular task. And so he was like, see, like I'm selling Gatorades. Like people judge me because I'm homeless, but if you were selling, they wouldn't judge you. And I was like, no, they're judging you because you're cussing them out while you're asking, do you want to buy a fucking Gatorade? Anybody wants some fucking Gatorades? Like, that's why they're not buying. This isn't judgment. You're a bad salesman. So he bust out laughing. And I don't know how, but we just fell into this space where the conversation went to, it's like, look, man, all I had to do was make money. So I've made about $5 or $6. My assignment is done. How about we just go sit over here and sell these Gatorades together? So he was like, cool, whatever. So we get over and the conversation continues, but I'm the one asking now. Like, hey, do you want anybody? Would you like a Gatorade, ma'am? Hey, you look hot. Would you like a Gatorade? Hey, the kids. I know the kids. Like, what's your favorite color? You want blue Gatorade? And so, of course, the parents are buying. So we're selling now. We got into this conversation where him being homeless didn't throw us off track, and he didn't know what to do with that. He could feel something different by every time he would say, because I'm homeless, and it had no effect or no bearing on how I continued to treat him. He thought that was odd in a sense. And then we got into what would be other ways he can make money. I was like, well, you're homeless. You see all these YouTubers around here who are trying to play pranks? Sell a prank. And he was like, oh yeah, I could do that. I was like, yeah, they cut a lock of your hair for $500 or something. Who knows? I'm just saying. And so he was laughing. And long story short, now it was time for me to go back. And as I was getting ready to leave, I was like, all right, Christian, I got to go back to my class now, blah, blah, blah. He was like, oh, yeah. He gives me like $2 or $3. And I grabbed it real quick without even hesitating, thinking, or anything. Grabbed it, put it in my pocket, and kept it. And it wasn't until I wrote up on the board that I realized that I had actually took money from a homeless man. But it didn't feel like I took money from a homeless man. What it felt like was I provided a service in which someone paid me for. And that service was for him to see something different about himself and the way he wanted to go about his business. And that was the start of me no longer caring about the numbers that come along with money. Michael used to say to me a long time ago, and I never understood it until this exercise. He would tell me when I would ask questions about money and coaching and the right things, he would say, you make the difference, Rob, you'll make the dollar. And I didn't get it at first. I was like, no, man, I need to have a rate. I need to charge. I need to. And after that, I understood exactly what he meant. Make the difference. The dollar will come. So yeah, that's why I remember that story so well. And I even had a friend pass by me at the time, and she literally said, what are you doing? Like, don't be out here embarrassing yourself. If you need to, like, she was just it was so beneath me to be out here selling with the homeless from her eyes. And I just thought that was even funny in itself. But yeah, no, it was the first time I saw clearly, if I make the difference, if I just focus on making the difference, the dollar will come. The dollar will come.
The thing that struck me in the moment that I heard it, and I think the reason why I had repeated it to people since, is that with all the money hang-ups that people sometimes have, and especially people who are coaches and helpers and teachers and they're givers, right, about receiving money, the moment when you said it struck you, I took money from a homeless man, was an acknowledgement that there was a value exchange.
Because the homeless man gave away his money. Yeah.
And but that it was a real exchange of value.
Yes.
And that the value that you got from him was not the $2 or $3. The real value was not that, right? Like I heard all of that in that experience, and I was like, how is it ever? It's a beautiful thing. Do you know, like that was a beautiful exchange. And money happened to be a part of it, which was interesting.
Yeah.
But it wasn't what it was really about. And I think that to me, that's what we're doing. It's like money is this cool means of exchange, and when we don't have any stories around it, it's just a part of the value that we share. And when you're making the difference, as you say, the dollar is the smallest part of that, but it comes of itself. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. Just like the happiness comes, just like the less anxiety comes, just like the seeing more clearly comes. It's all kind of begins to fall away slowly but surely as more experience happen, where you become aware of these hangups that you have on money or politics or race or gender or whatever, but yeah, that I really don't have a value to place on that exchange, because it was way past the $2-3, like you said. So yeah. And I also remember somebody making $2 million that day too, though, and putting it on the board.
I don't remember that at all.
You don't remember that?
Oh, I remember somebody saying like, yeah, it didn't compare to what see, I remembered what you did.
I remember $2 million. That's what I remember. No, but yes, one of our classmates took that time to decide to settle a lawsuit, and the payout for that settlement was $2 million. So essentially within them 2 hours, they made $2 million, which was like, Okay, that's pretty cool. But no, but that's yeah, that's what I remember about that part too.
That experiment is so fun to me because it, for one, it showed me how I approach it. It showed me what was fun. I saw like habits and patterns that I didn't
Hmm.
realize that I had. I saw other people struggling with it and like hating it, where I was like, this is so fun. How could you not be
Yeah.
having fun with this? Like, there's no pressure. There was no limitation. It wasn't about you have to make as much money as you can. I mean, it was like, hey,
Yeah.
go out and make as much money as you can. See what happens, you know? And some
Yeah.
people took it on quantity, and some people like yourself kind of went with, I'm going to have this experience and here's what life put in front of me. And it just, it's a beautiful money game. And I do
Oh yeah.
love some money games because it can be so very fun. Um, yeah, anyway, thank you for sharing that, Rob. And for reminding me that somebody made millions and it didn't even register. Oh my God.
Yes. That's so funny.
So, since we were talking about money, this is sort of a related segue. And you and I the other day were talking about making decisions and how you, how you help people make decisions when they don't know what to
Yes.
do. So
Hmm.
there's something money related involved in that, right?
Absolutely. So pretty much I help people solve all of their issues with depending on what you have at your at your disposal. It can be a nickel, a penny, a quarter, a half dollar, or even a whole silver dollar. All you need is a coin that has a heads and a tails. And the moment I say, all right, let's flip a coin, people go absolutely berserks. And I listen for a minute as they tell me why this decision is too important to be decided by a coin toss and why that was just not the way it's going to be. And I laugh and I go and I go with it. Because at first glance, most people think what I'm saying is flip a coin to decide. What happens when you flip the coin is we really get to see what you want. Because if we're saying the coin, let's say flipping the coin heads, we go right, tails, we go left. If you really want to go right, when that coin lands on tails, you're going to say something like, best two out of three. Or you're going to flip it again and go, you know what? All right, well, it kind of hit my hand. It wasn't clean. It wasn't, you're going to make up whatever you need to make up to give you another flip. That just means you want to go left, go left. Like, don't even play anymore. The coin just pointed to it for you. I'm not saying that you literally, it lands on heads, you go, all right, I'm doing this with no other regard. What I'm saying is when it's heads and you just accept it and go, that's where pretty much where you wanted to go anyway. So it just reveals to you more of that. And it always, it just opens people up when they do it because it's so much around the randomness of a coin toss being the deciding factor of something that we tag so serious. So I just love playing with that. Uh,
Do you have one now, Rob? Like, do you have something, a
all
decision
right.
in your life and a coin and like something that you'll do a coin flip for me with?
Do I have a decision?
Yeah.
Ooh, no, I don't have really.
It doesn't have to be a super huge one, just for the sake of demonstration. I
I
have
can't
one
think
for
of
you.
go
Oh my
go.
God, I
Okay,
have one for you.
go.
Okay. How about this? The question is, I hope this is okay that I'm doing this. If it's not, you'll tell me later and we'll fix it. The question is, would you like to completely change the direction of your business to incorporate these experiences and parties and music and all of that stuff that we were talking about the other day? Is that a
Yeah.
good question to ask?
Okay. Yeah. But I already know where we're going with it, which is I'm going to parties and buildings. So, but let's flip. Let me find
Yeah, like have the
my coin.
experience of it. So let's give some background here, by the way. Do you have a coin around? And I can give the background.
All right. Yes. Let me get a coin and you give it
All right.
background. Gotcha.
So as you heard in the bio that I gave for Rob, he had a background in the military and in fitness and has done personal training and then doing coaching as health from the inside out, and all these kinds of things around coaching to help people, and kind of using fitness as a metaphor for how you live your life and how you can find health, right? And the other day we were talking about some of the things that Rob really wants to do and his passion that's emerging for music and mixing and like taking tracks and like of people speaking inspiring speeches or whatever, and mixing things. I don't even know the right terms to use. But anyway, and like having parties and being a host and helping people just have a good time, which, by the way, we're going to do for the Awakened Business community because I twisted Rob's arm and I'm making him do it because I'm compelled. So that's my question. Like, and this was fresh the other day, right? After we talked, that you were like, oh, you saw
Yeah.
something. So
Yeah.
what's the question that you want to ask? Not the one that I put on you, but the one you really want to ask.
No, no, I'm free to go anywhere. The part what I've seen since that conversation that I wouldn't have to flip on, and I know that's probably where I am taking what I want to do, was when I got hung up on not being able to do it because people wouldn't receive it from me in a sense. So it was I'd finally cracked this little, it almost seemed like a thin film or almost a glass ceiling, so to speak, something that I really didn't see was there that I just kept bumping up against. And that was that again, I was using fitness just because I was thinking that would be easier for people to accept through my voice because I'm an athletic build guy and because I was a personal trainer. Well, fitness is my self-care. That's what I like. And it doesn't mean that's the only way to prioritize your self-care. But once I realized my reasoning for not doing it the other way was because some of my colleagues has master's degrees, PhDs, practices in which they've made millions or even been doing this for 20, 30 years. I felt like, ooh, that's a big arena to play in. And as long as I kept that barrier and bumping up against it and not being truly authentic, in my opinion, to not compromise myself. And what I mean by myself is understanding that before I use the preferences or labels to identify me, I'm light and love. And what I was looking at this situation of my business with was with acceptance or fitting in eyes. How would they best receive me, feel me? And well, what I know now is how people best receive me is when I'm me. How people best feel me is when I'm me. Not when I'm me trying to be like they want me to be. When I'm just me. And so, yeah, the parties are coming. The parties are coming. The experiences, these activities that just awaken ourselves up to who we are. I even kind of started it in the way that I teach self-defense. Um, Before I used to try to teach all the striking and all the kicks and everything, but I've been training self-defense probably for 15, 20 years now. It's super hard to try to get somebody to figure all that out in 3 to 5 weeks. It's like, so why would we teach it that way? What I started doing was creating overwhelming and stressful environments within the classroom to see how they responded. So I would have you stand on the wall and you would just have to stand there and I say react accordingly. And there's 3 students in the classroom that run at you with the mid pads or screaming at you or throwing a Bosu ball at you. And it's just that reaction of how you respond when all of this comes on you that kind of starts teaching you how you will act in a emergency situation. And what we saw was people go from week 1 where they immediately froze the moment somebody came into their space and screamed at them. Like these ladies were like, I mean, panic, fear, the whole nine, to can't wait to fight. Like coming in the classroom like, bro, are we fighting today? Can you send like 3 people at me? Because I got this, I want to try it. And I'm like, what is happening right now? But what they woke up to was what they could really do in an emergency situation. And then they wanted it to try it more. And the only way they felt that they could do that was in the classroom because I provided the space and the atmosphere. But we had some powerful stories derived from that. I had some ladies that stopped taking the class because it triggered them. And so I got a chance to talk to them. And there was one lady who came in, and I said, okay. I said, let me just see how you respond to situations, and we'll see if I should put you in the beginner's class or the intermediate class. She lays on the floor, and I said, okay, you're on your back, and all I need you to do is respond to whatever you feel. I started running toward her and just started stumping my feet very fast. And I had a punch pad, which is like a big square punch mitt today. And I think I said something like, I'm about to kill you, and a bunch of stomps. And I said like real aggressively. She did this combination of striking, covering her head, and running toward the door. And I had never taught her anything. That was instinctively what she did. When she did it, at first I was like, oh yeah, you can go to intermediate. And then when she turned around, I saw she wasn't with me. And I had to say, breathe, come here with me now. Come back to 2021, sit down. And you can see she's starting to well up. And I'm like, we're here. We're not there. Talk to me about what just happened. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, you were not responding to me. And she just burst down crying. And she was like, she was sexually assaulted. I got it. I could see it in your response. I could see it in your response. And so we got to the point where we didn't feel the class was best for her to take at that time. But the awareness that she was able to see of how she bring things forward, again, another priceless moment with self-defense, self-awareness. Would I have wanted her to finish? Yeah. But she actually got something now to kind of explore that I believe will help her defend herself and her family a little bit better. So it worked even in that essence. So the activities, the experience, I think just awaking us up to it a little bit faster, or to see it real time, to see that it's the same in the playroom and out of the playroom. We just think it's different. We just think it's different. So, yeah, so I won't need to flip on that one. If I think of one, though,
Yeah.
if I get hung up, if I think of one, but that one just doesn't seem like it would make sense not to change it to that for me.
Yeah. So what does that look like?
Um, well, first thing it looks like is the Awakening Business group coming into some music, coming into some activities that will require them to think right there, fresh off the cuff. It'll be a bunch of laughter, all things that point to the essence of what we teach. So you'll leave with the same feelings, hopefully, that you leave from any 3P program or any program of spirituality modality, in a sense that makes you see a little bit better about yourself. It's just going to be from a different way. It won't be by speech. I'll say some things, but it won't be by program in that sense. It'll be about us playing, I think. Yeah. It's funny because I did this before as an instructor, and I remember the hesitation. So we used to do training on nuclear convoy security, on how to transport a nuclear weapon from A to Z. And we used to do a lot of training on that. But when we would get to situations that would require any physical interaction or a weapon or something like that, we would stop the exercise and rearrange the scene for safety purposes. So we would skip over the fight and the gunfight and the battle and all that, and we'll reposition everything as if it just ended and to start from there. So we have practiced getting to the fight, stop, simulate the fight, and then start, what do we do after the fight? And as an instructor, that never made sense to me. It never made sense to me why we do that. And so I asked my commander if he would be opposed to me pre-recording virtually the PowerPoint lesson plans that we would have to teach. And when people came to training that, I actually got to not simulate, but to actually push them through something. And because we had known each other for years, this was probably second or third time we had been stationed together, he let me do it. So first training was just so happened to fall on ride control day. So I went over to the armory, pulled out the ride control gear, dusted it off because it hadn't been touched in I don't know how many years. Put the shields in the military member's hand, and then used a couple volunteers to run full speed and try to knock them over. Got a broken nose out of it. Not me, but one of my students had a broken nose, a broken finger, and a busted lip. So now I'm in front of my commander getting my butt reamed. But then he realized that if that situation was really us having to put up ride control gear, we'd have been in trouble. So the broken nose, the broken finger, and the busted lip was a small price to pay for showing that we needed to stop faking our way around emergency situations because we don't know how we're going to respond. When you are literally sitting somewhere, Stephanie, and you're watching, like, is that? And you just see the upheaval of the ground, like you see it from afar, or you go into a building on one day and then walking back toward that same way, it's just a crater now. You're like, what the, like that, messes with your mind. But so there was no way to simulate the struggle other than to go through it. Now, in the classroom, I can protect you a little bit more, but I need to see how you respond to being hit, and that ended up later turning to save my life because once I got down to special operations, that's how they move. Like, that's how they train. Shooting weapons with no earplugs because I can't tell the bad guy, hold up, I'm going to put on my earplugs because I want to protect my ears. Hold on, Mr. Bad Guy. Don't you shoot me. Earplugs, safety, okay. Ready? We can fire again. Boom, boom, boom. That's not how it goes, And if your first time hearing a weapon go off as if it's next to your shoulder, it's going to hurt because it's such a high piercing sound. So it's just learning how to fight, like we were really going to have to fight, or learning how to coach, learning how to operate in the world like we really are going to be at the mercy of the people in which we're servicing, those who are suffering. It's meeting them where they are, and then being strong enough or grounded enough to be able to walk them out of the murkiness into a clear view because I know the clear view exists. So that's why I want the activities. Like I know it. Like, man, if I don't know anything else, this understanding I have about mind, thought, and consciousness as I believe it really has shaped my whole being about how much I enjoy living, how much I enjoy connecting, how much I enjoy trying to find what I don't know. So yeah, I'm probably rambling now, but that's why the activities are so important, just because you really get to you're in the game. I mean, you're in the game in life, but if I get you to just be in the game for play, you'll try it. You at least try. Kind of like you said, this is an opportunity to play. That's just all I want. Just to show up and just take an opportunity to play and see what happens from there.
So I just want to thank you, Rob, and I just want to interject something here because I realized that there were a couple things that were said that some people listening might not be familiar with. So one is
my bad.
the three. No, that's my job here. So if I have a job other than to just laugh and kind of give you a little bit of a hard time and enjoy myself, you said the 3 Ps: which is
Okay, the
referring
three
to the
principles.
three
Yes,
principles, yes. And we also referred to Michael, who was doing the Genius Catalyst event, and I just want to say that's Michael Neal.
Michael Neal.
And just in case you want to go down and learn more about those things, which we may or may not talk about more, which I may have mentioned as well, you can. So you have those references. So as I was listening to you, Rob, talk about the exercise in the military, teaching self-defense, and then I was noticing, oh, I see it mapping over into this idea of creating experiences. But
Mhm.
now we're in a whole other arena. So, like, what is it that, like, what do you see? Like, how do you see this real time experience? What now are you trying to help people discover about themselves or see about themselves in creating an
Mm.
experience like this that's this kind of experience?
Yeah, it's the trust yourself. Trust yourself. Like, I mean, man, just trust yourself. Because I do know now that innately within everyone is their own resilience mechanism, their own wisdom guiding system. Um, and just so many people are not willing to trust their own. They're willing to trust others, which is can be good in some cases, and that'll lead you to a generically good area possibly. But I'm talking about going through experiencing some activities where you learn yourself and how you want to show up, free of the preferences that others have set for you. Kind of like it's just if I can do anything, I would just want to be a walking mirror for people to see how beautiful they were. Like like when they be like, "Oh man, I really like what you did." Rob's like, "Oh, but you see how beautiful you are in this mirror right here? You know, see that reflection of." Uh, yeah, I just want people to wake up to themselves, and I don't know what happens after that, but I just know what happened after I woke up to myself. My life changed, and so I just wonder what kind of community we would have if people woke up like that. You know, I still don't know what it means. I just know the space of operating from significantly changes the game. Um, so yeah, I any by it's almost like a by any means necessary. I would want people to wake up to themselves.
So would you tell me, Rob, that story about, and you can tell it short or long or however it occurs to you in the moment, of you waking up to yourself and what you have seen that makes the three principles so powerful for you and for the work that you're doing as it's as it's been evolving.
Yeah, it was realizing that most of my personal suffering was attached to behaviors I had created for trying to be accepted or fit into some type of identity group or block. Um, whether it was a gang member, whether it's a police officer, whether it's a military, whether it's a Black American, whether it's a husband, father, son, whether all of these different labels and boxes and categories that had about a bazillion guidelines for each one of them, which then made life super, super hard. Um, and it was waking up to the fact that I existed before those and finding out what that existence was. And it was light and love. And so now that I know I'm light and love before the form, every time I get to play in it, I play in it from the preface or the eyes as best as I can of light and love. Doesn't mean I always agree with what I'm playing with, but it means I just my energy brought to the table is that of love, and that's or light. And I guess that would be because I used to say, oh, well, everybody's operating in some type of either ignorance or innocence. I used to say it like that, but then now it's like, no, it's all innocence. And as hard as that is for some people to accept, because there are some very evil things that happen in the world, it's still just from an innocence of their person who believes their thinking is real. And as once a person who believed my thinking is real and made decisions that compromise myself, I know how easy that is to do. And I feel sorry for those who do it because it does cause pain and suffering, not just within ourselves, but for others. And and so any way that I can put light and love, space created light, reflect or open up or put illuminate things we need to talk about. Um, that just I lose taking things personal with that. I don't really pay attention to behaviors as much anymore, because it's kind of like if you curse me out, obviously you're angry. Well, that's what angry people do. They curse folks out. So I more get concerned about why you're angry or letting the anger flow through and then getting back to the conversation once you're not angry. Um, Insecure spaces play out with certain actions. Once I see the actions, I'm not mad at the actions. It's make perfect sense. Insecure space produce this action. I don't need to argue, fight, fuss, spend years on the action. I just go straight to the space. And by virtue of dealing in the space of the uncertainty, the gap or whatever it is that's there, all the actions kind of seem to fall into place. And I remember saying this on one time I was on this so-called quest of self-development, self-guidance of I'm going to try to root out everything I hate. So I wrote this whole list. I hate this. 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 And so one by one, I pick up and try to go read about it and get some information about it till I felt like I no longer hated that subject or that thing. Or I got educated on it, whatever case it be. And I probably made it a couple weeks with that. Scratched a few things off. And I remember looking up on my board here with the things that was wrote there and going, wait, that's about 7 or 8 things up there. And they all start after I say I hate. What if I stop hating? Would I have to individually address each and every one of these items? No, I wouldn't. And that's how I got from not worry about my behaviors and more so just ensuring the space that I come from is one of love and light. It's no matter the conversation, whether the conversation is about race, whether the conversation is about your dislike for my country, whether the conversation is about your dislike for my color. Cool. That's how you feel. Doesn't mean you don't still deserve an opportunity or a space for love and light, for you to see something different. That's it. Like I believe this, so the best way of believing is demonstrating it. Period. Period. Like just getting to the point where any suffering on any level hurts you, where cursing out another individual makes you feel bad because you realize you're the same. Like being evil makes you vomit almost, because it's almost like you're being cannibalizing in a sense, eating of your own because you're the same. It showed me the difference in the oneness and the duality. And I get duality. That's how we experience life. I get it. You have to do a separation, for us to have the human experience. But I saw that the separation is within the oneness, not that the oneness was in the separation. I saw that who I thought I was inside of who I am, not me being spiritual and fitting into a body. No, my body is inside of my spirituality. My work, my efforts, my behaviors, they're just that moment reflection of how I feel. That's it. If I don't get hung up in them, I get to string a lot of them together, But if I get caught up in them and they start producing another box, then comes to suffering. Next thing you know, I'm burnt out. I need a break. And for me right now, I've been in the work since about 2018 and have never felt like I needed a break. Like I sometimes feel like I'm not doing enough. So that's the what this understanding has shaped or changed for me, in the way that I just want to live, want to be, want to exemplify. Um, and there's some bad shit in there too, though. Like, there's some. I just because that sounded super spiritual, I will talk about some fuck ups, just to make it abundantly clear that this isn't one way. A couple months ago, I cursed my neighbor. I told him, how about I just beat your ass, man? How about that? And he screams back, no, just listen to me. And it hit me like, oh shit, yeah. That's why we're arguing, because I am not listening to you. Nor is he listening to me. But the part I control is I'm not listening to you. And it was so funny how beat your ass came up, because I was thinking, like, I haven't been in a fight in I don't know how long. Where did beat your ass come from? Like, uh, so yeah, just that, or I mean, just so many other things. Getting some right, getting some wrong. My daughter called me the other day, and I was doing something with trying to get some marketing materials ready. Totally ignored everything she said for like the 15 minutes she was talking. I was like, hey, I can't talk right now. I got to go. Bye, bye. I'm doing something important. Doing something super important. I got to go. Bye, bye. And that night, I sent her probably the longest apology letter. And when she woke up this morning, she's like, a bit much, but thank you. I was like, every time you call me to share your day with me is important. Period. That was my bad. And I never even got the marketing shit together anyway. You see what I mean? Like I miss getting to talk to my daughter, and I miss getting the marketing shit out. It was like, So yeah, but again, the light and the love with that is not beating myself up over it, and being willing to go tell her I was wrong for that. So it's not being perceived as a behavior to replicate or to do, or that's normal, or that should be accepted. Yeah, so that's how it looks for me.
Thank you, Rob. What I hear in that when we talk about love and light, sometimes I hear that as a blanket positivity that people try to make themselves be love and light, and that is not at all
No,
what
no.
I hear from you. It's like being love and light with the real world, with the real stimuli, in the midst of attack, in the midst
Yeah,
of drama, in the midst of the crap thinking that influences us in low moods. That
yeah,
that that sometimes leads us to have behaviors that are not the best.
yeah,
And having love and light in that for yourself and other people, and coming back to that space, right? So it's what we are, it's what we're in, it's what we are of, it's what we are made of. So there is no faking or forcing. You can't. There is no plastering positivity over it, and there's
no,
no need to,
yeah,
because it's what we are. And there's something that, when we see that, when I have seen that, it's so much kinder. When I am seeing that clearly, I am kinder to myself, I am kinder to other people. I cannot not be kind when I'm
yeah,
touching that. And I think if someone hasn't had that experience, they really haven't seen it. And that's
mhm.
okay too. Or maybe they don't know they've seen it, right? Because I think we all have had moments. That's what I come
Oh
back
yeah,
to, is that we
yeah,
all have touched that space, that what we really are. And maybe we thought I was in a good mood that day, and so I was able to touch God or feel the
yeah,
oneness. It's because it's always there.
yeah. Oh, it makes it. Yes, it's not that we got that one time we showed up at the same grid coordinates at a location, or no, it's been there all along. It's under there now, even though you don't know it or think it, in the midst of what's going on. Um, and it helps. It literally helps. It moved. Another thing it did is move my reality from feeling as it was being perceived happening to me, rather create it happening for me. Because if I think about one of the most tragic things I've been through in the past couple of years was the death of my nephew, because he was only 11 months. And everybody I talked to was saddened in a sense by the death of it being such a small baby, like infant or whatever. And it wasn't maybe 45 minutes after the memorial service where I stopped and began to look around and see members of my family hug and talk to members of my family that hadn't done it in years. And it was the first time my mother and my stepmother, and who I call mom because I'm 40, almost 45 years old. So she's been around for almost 44 years old. She's been around that long that I call her mom too. So we're talking 20, 30 years at least. It's the first time they stopped whatever disagreement they had about being the ex and the new wife or whatever the case may be, and just dialed in on taking care of my little brother, their son. It was like I'd never seen this. My mom would handle my brother on a Monday, and my stepmom would grieve on that Monday. And then on Tuesday, my stepmom steps in and does all the funeral arrangements, and then my mom grieves. They literally came together and became a mom unit almost, because what was most important at that time was their son hurting. I don't know if that would ever happen if my nephew wouldn't have passed. And so I was telling my brother, I was saying, in just 11 months of life, that kid was able to get our parents to sit down at the dinner table. And not one of the 5 siblings were ever able to do that. And we've all asked for it. He did it in 11 months. It was like the relationships, the cousins, his death re-shook up my family to want to be more connected, to want to get to know. It caused my dad to reach out to one of his grandkids that we hadn't seen in the 13, 14 years. And then they were just able to pick her up. She graduated high school this year. They was able to pick her up, and they had her this weekend. It was the first time she had met her aunts, first time she had met cousins, and she's 18 now. But that derived from that feeling of wanting to be close because of that death. And it was like, I don't know if our family would have woke up to that had my nephew not passed away. So again, when I start looking at situations like that and seeing what comes from them, it's like, man, we don't know. Like wisdom, we think life and death is a big deal because we don't know what happens afterward. Wisdom knows what's before the form and what's after the form. So wisdom, it's not, oh my God, you're going to die today. Oh no. Like wisdom is not into that. It's one big thing. To wisdom, it's no end or no beginning to it for wisdom. So we're just experiencing it that way. But that was one of those things that I'd really start seeing how the reality I have of what's happening is created by what I'm feeling. Period. And if I choose to feel, love and the light again, then as best I can, that's what I'm going to get back. And even if the light and the love gives me the peace of not judging the person and who I'm angry about, then that, again, even that is just enough. So, yeah.
What I'm finding is that the love and the light, there's nothing that I need to do to find it because I'm in a sea of it. All that's necessary is to just stop everything else.
Yeah.
just
yeah.
just like drop, and even dropping everything else isn't the right word because it sounds like there's something to do. It's like just like falling into it, just floating in it. And what I hear in what you're saying that I think is incredibly powerful, Rob, is that your awareness, your willingness to bring this love and light to a wake up in the midst of hard things, to an awakening in the midst of it. It's not we get rid of all the bad things and we don't, it's no, in the midst of it, in the
Mm-hmm.
drama, in the tragedy, in the pain, in the suffering, whatever that might be. And it comes in so many forms. And your
Yeah.
willingness to help people to wake up. And the only way to help people wake up is to point them to that love and light that they are.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that because I don't remember many supervisors who drunk my Kool-Aid, so to speak. The supervisors who said, man, Cook is a great NCO. I'm going to put him on autopilot and let him just do his thing.
What is an NCO?
Oh, a non-commissioned officer in
Okay.
the military.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And so you pretty much, depending on which level of non-commissioned officer you were, will tell you how many people you're managing or supervising, whether 30, 50, 70, 100 or whatever, right? Um, those supervisors that challenged me, that pushed me to look deeper within myself and put a foot in my ass and me get in trouble with, those are the ones I remember because that's when I really learned something, right? Like the reason I love not wasting an opportunity like an emergency event to capitalize on is because I don't believe we'll ever get to a point where everything is perfect. Like it's in those moments is where the most learning can be. Um, and that's learning anything, learning what you don't like, what you like, learning what to do, what not to do. Like every experience is an opportunity to grow, learn, and listen. You just got to be willing to do whichever one it takes. And sometimes we're supposed to be listening and then we want to start doing. And sometimes we're doing and we should just be listening. And it, you know, but yeah, I don't welcome sad events. You know, it's not that, but I certainly understand the things that I don't control. You know, my grandmother who raised me, well, she's close to 80s. I could see in her face now, even that awareness. I remember every time I would talk to my grandmother, even before the pandemic started, I saw her, what she used to look like when I was a kid. And she was, I can hear her on the phone, but in my mind, I have her at what she looked like when I was a kid. And now um, I look at her face because I want to see her now. And it's different. I'm watching life happen. I'm watching it. And one day she will pass. And that's going to be fucking sad. But it won't be sad that I won't remember all the amazing things she gave me. I won't forget what she told me most that helped me grow. Um, and I'll choose to cherish that versus the whole of sadness and depression and anxiety because she's not here. Um, but yeah, it's just this because I don't know what happens on the other end. Like I don't. So rather try to compare it to something, you know, we don't know when we're supposed to die. So for me to say it's too early for her or not, I don't know. Like, I don't know, but you know, not that I welcome it, but I'll, God willing, if I don't go before, I'll have to accept it or deal with it. And that'll be it, you know.
Hmm. So Rob, wow, just listening to you, I have so many feelings go through me as I'm listening to you talk. I like I'm not crying, but the tears are like right there. And not in a sad way, but because I feel the beauty of it. I feel so much beauty and appreciation for that in the midst of. I feel the recognition of the innocence of people. Man, does that touch my heart. I wish I could show people that more clearly. How beautiful and innocent they are. Because I knew if they saw that in themselves, they would see it in other people. And wow, that would
Yeah.
have just the most profound effect that I could imagine. Um, so, if you were if you were going to invite people to an experience with you, what experience would you want to invite them to right now?
The experience of taking on your day from the space that you're not broken, anything is possible. And today, in fact, can be the very best day of your life. Like, start from that. Don't care what you feel like. Don't care if, whatever. Don't care about that part. But just start from that space of I'm not broken, meaning the answers are within me. So just slow down. You ain't got to go out and find it. They're within you. Anything is possible, meaning just because it is a obstacle or a so-called problem right now, since anything is possible means that we just haven't found the solution, but one exists. Like the mere fact that something is called a problem means a solution exists because problems are solvable. We know that. And and just really create. Like healthy living is an art. It's an art. It's not any one way of painting your portrait of art or showing your reflection of love for yourself or for the world. I just ask that you create that art from the inside out versus the outside in. Just looks a lot better from that space for me. That would be it. That would be would be a big ass event on art class from the inside out, you know.
Hmm, cool. So, if people, where's the best place for people to find you, Rob? If they want to learn more about what you're up to in the world, where should they go?
Right now, you can go to the website www. I'm Rob Cook. IMROBCOOK.com. I'm Rob Cook on the social media platforms as well. And you can also just connect. All of those platforms has a way to connect. And I'll say this about that. If there's something on my social media or websites and you're thinking like, I don't know if this fit or not, I would still say reach out because I don't consider myself a marketer. So it's very well possible I didn't explain it as clearly as I could if we'd have been on a phone call as I do for a website or a social media. You know, I try my best to reflect my work on there, but I best know my work is when I'm dealing with people. So I would just say if you look at it, if you get anything close to an inclination or a feel, give me the extra credit for not being a good marketer and reach out and let's connect. And then as I grow with that, hey, that'll all match up. But don't count me out if you're just looking at me from those platforms. Like give the real Rob a shot if that makes sense.
I have a hard time imagining that if someone is if someone is listening to you and resonating with what you're saying right now, that they'd have any doubt if they're one of your people, they would know.
Mm,
Because all marketing really is clear communication. It's powerful, potent communication. And this is what I know of you, and what to kind of bring it back to where I noticed you. I was like, wow, here is a being who speaks from their heart. And that's what I hear you do every time we talk. And there is a clarity in that, and it cuts through all the crap. And there's a lot of crap out there. That does not need a fancy brand image or a clever marketing tagline. Just you being you. As you said, that's how you make the biggest difference, and it is. I see it. So
thank
I
you.
am sure I don't have, if it's meant They will know. Just like it was meant for me to reach out to you again and reconnect and say, hey, Rob, bring some of your goodness to my people.
No, I love it. Like I said, man, I'm still having fun with it. As long as my eyes open, I'm gonna give this exploration a shot, man. That's how I look at it. If my eyes open in the morning, first thing I do is when I see them, I kind of look like, oh, still in the game. Cool. All right, let's go get it. Let's see what we can create today. Some days are better than others, but it's all still. I'm trying to have the best time I can exploring it.
Nice. Thank you so much, Rob. This has been a blast. So happy.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining me for today's Wildspire conversation. If you'd like to receive a weekly Wildspire email from me filled with inspiring stories, unmarketing experiments, tips for playing your way to impact and income without the hustle and hype, insights from my spiritual business journey, and more, go to theawakenedbusiness.com/wildspire. Until next time, may you know yourself as the gorgeous wild creation you are.